some soccer!
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining us. I've only just sat down after getting back from Eastleigh. I'm sure some of you are actually still on your way home, you bunch of mad bastards. It's 560 odd down here on the south coast for what was effectively a dead rubber, but they at least got their money's worth, and we'll go through it in a minute. I am joined by Scott. How are you? Scott has just told me he's done a 10K. And what was your time?
Hello, everyone. I did it in 57 minutes and 15 seconds. And still not as quick as I'd like it to be, but under an hour, I think is deemed okay, considering I've not done a 10K since last August.
Yeah, I mean...
Bruce is the runner. I'll ask Bruce. I don't know.
Yeah.
Bruce, I mean, he probably does it in less than that, I'd say.
It's the fact that you did it, mate. That's what matters.
Well, I'll take that as a yes.
It's easy to sit on your ass in it and not do anything. So
this is it,
fair play to anybody that goes out and does any exercise, I say.
Yeah, having to get up at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. But I've had a nice afternoon afterwards. I had the Stockport Halifax game on in the background and listening to John Tondra and Alan Connell on commentary in the background.
Alan Connell is a wonderful one that sort of came back and went away. He's the cautionary tale, though, for anyone, me included, that gets a bit too excited about a former great goal scorer coming back, because sometimes they can't necessarily live up to it. How was the commentary? How did they? I mean, we'll talk about it in a second. We'll talk about Boreham Wood as well, and we want your thoughts. But what were your thoughts over the radio, Scott? Because I can't really comprehend it. It was the second half, especially, was mad.
Yeah, first half, from what it sounded like Town should have been. Well, they were by far the better team and deserved to be 2-0 up. Maybe could have been more from what it sounded. And then straight from kick-off second half, and it was just a collapse and just went to shit a bit, really. I don't know if that's because it's the last day of the season or whatever, and Eastleigh have nothing to play for, so they're expressing themselves a bit more. I don't know. But yeah, just sounded like a mess the second half. And it's good to see the kids, the youngsters got a chance. And there's a couple of debuts in there, 2 or 3, I think, in the end. And obviously the hat trick, brilliant. It sounded like a really topsy-turvy game that was probably a good game to watch for the neutral. And I was trying to think, was the last time we drew 4-4? Was that Chesterfield away in 2004?
Oh, Bruce is going to be on that like a cat on a hot tin roof.
I would have thought so. I can't remember a thrilling draw. Very recent, in recent times anyway.
Can you remember the attendance for that game?
4,444.
Correct.
I really don't have any X-Files music to play, but I would add it in if that came in. We might do it in the post-edit.
And it was actually, in my opinion, a crap game. that 4-4 was we had 2 crap draws around that time. There was a 3-3 at Stockport and a 4-4 at, when I say around that time, probably within a year or so. But I wonder if we've got anybody that's actually on, like you said, on your intro, whether there's anybody. I don't think we've ever had a shout out from anyone that's listening in the car or watching in the back of the car. Hopefully not in the front. That'd be interesting to see if there was anybody that's remembered that we're on, or they're just listening to Rick Astley's greatest hits on the way home.
My lad, yeah. I mean, if you are on your way home and you're watching it on YouTube or whatever, by all means, tell us where you are and how far along you are, because it'd be great to hear from you, because that's a hell of a trek back. My lad is into Rick Astley at the moment. He's 8 years old and he starts singing Never Gonna Give You Up so often. It is slightly... it must be the same sort of era, when they used to have like horror films in the 70s and the kids would be singing like Ring a Ring a Roses or some terrifying little song.
Or you'd be in bed in the morning, just waking up, and your kid would peep his head around the corner and go, "Here's Johnny."
Yeah, exactly. But now he's just putting his head around the door, going, "I'm never going to give you up," and it freaks me out.
Does that mean Does that mean somebody that he knows plays it too much?
No, I think it's memes. It's all about the memes. I think that's where he gets it from. He, on the other hand, I mean, it's not really about Charlie liking football, but I've never really been able to encourage him to like football, town, whatever. But he liked it today because he came along and we sat right next to the away fan, to the home fans, who were, 15-year-old lads who were far too many Tizers and were far more excitable. He loved giving the ag. I had to pull him. He kept doing this to one of them. It's like, I've never seen anything like sit down.
No, you've just done a visual to us who can see you. But anybody that's listening on Wednesday is going to completely wonder what hand signal, what he was doing.
Well, he was doing that as well. He was definitely he was doing the whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing like that, and sort of sticking his middle finger up, and it was incredible. It was a wonderful game. I thoroughly enjoyed it. First half, we restricted Eastleigh to just a couple of free kicks from outside the area that didn't really go anywhere. They had a discount Matt Green up front who was a bit menacing. And second half, you started just more of the same. Please just keep him at bay. And we just seem to have a little. I think if we'd have learnt the words "man on," I think we'd have won it 4-2 because the third goal, was it? Or as with the second goal, short pass that didn't make it to the guy on the right, who was, I think it was Manny at the time.
Wasn't Burgess involved in that? I think
Burgess was the other. Yeah, Burgess was the other one.
Okay.
Where he just had all the time in the world, and just he pinched off him from behind, and the amount of times they had the overrun, and even though we conceded 4. I thought Bramwell was brilliant. I've never even heard of the bloke. I'm really sorry, but he was brilliant. He was great, cool, calm, defensive. And I thought Battersby had a really good game and was at no fault at all for any of the goals. I don't think anybody was, apart from just some lax play up front. But it was thoroughly entertaining. And Manny, I didn't even know he was on his hat-trick when he tapped the other one away, because it's one of those sort of places where you have no idea what's going on. I'll tell you what they do have, though. Like when you're at the cricket and you've got your little scoreboard and you've got your little sponsoring around it. They've got that sponsored by Utilia. I was very impressed. Yeah, it was wonderful. I thought Manny was brilliant. And if Hurst is deciding on whether or not to keep him, I think that game will have swung him the way of doing so, because the goals are, even if he hadn't, even if I thought he'd just put that one away where he sort of tapped it in low and hard, he was brilliant. His hold-up play was fantastic. Not massively sure about Abraham's, but then again, I don't think he had a terrible game. He just missed his opportunities when they came to him.
I don't think we signed both of them. If we sign,
no, I agree.
I think we maybe sign one. Yeah, I'm not in
the middle of the park, Ollie. Not in the middle of the park. No. Yeah, no. Well, I thought Desiree was brilliant. I thought he was great, and I'm not just meaning the goals, because genuinely, I didn't know he'd scored 3. I thought
JT said he should have had 4 because Abrahams was screaming at Abrahams. Apparently, he went for goal and hit the side netting. And
yeah, I got annoyed with Abrahams for that. He did that twice. He should have cut it inside, squared it.
But you asked earlier about how was Alan Connell. The one thing I don't know if you noticed, Scott, but he was a little bit too descriptive at times, and it would take him sort of 20 minutes to tell you what had happened, because he would tell you the 4 or 5 players that were around the incident that had just occurred. So it was like those 3 midfielders of Town, and because he's not seen us that much, it then took him a few seconds to remember who the players he was trying to name were. But he was good though, and he speaks. I always think it's funny when you hear somebody speak, because obviously a footballer, you don't always hear them speak a great deal, and I think it's surprising. Sometimes they sound really rough, and then sometimes they sound sort of public school educated. You know what I mean? It's sort of like, or private school educated. Sorry. Yeah, he was very well spoken. Maybe his southern accent.
Yeah,
is that what you put you off?
He just reminds me of Eddie Howe. I know, because of the Bournemouth link and everything. it's just very similar to
You
him.
can't just say every middle-aged footballer with blonde hair looks like Eddie Howe, Scott.
No,
I mean, they do.
It was good. It was good to hear Connell. And you forget, really, he was only with us for a year, wasn't he? For one season.
But he was the
And-
first. He was the first striker we ever had who scored
Yeah.
a lot of goals in living memory. Anyway, I don't know about you,
Well,
Bruce, but
it was the first season in conference, wasn't it? And
we'd never really.
And
had
we
a
finished
striker before
11th.
that. Yeah.
We weren't a great side.
No, and he scored some beauties. I remember from outside the area. Just used to loft them in. I think he mentioned it today actually about his goals. And he was only with us for a year, and then we sold him to Swindon, I think. And then he came back in 2014. I remember at the start of that season because it was on BT Sport, the game at Bristol Rovers, wasn't it? The 0-0. And I think he only played 3 games, and it didn't really work out for him to come back. But he's been brilliant elsewhere, Bradford City, and where else? He went to Northampton as well, I think. But it was good to hear from him today. And I know what it's like for the commentaries. It's difficult for these away games to get a summariser, particularly probably on a Sunday as well. And it's good that he was based, nearish, and he's at Bournemouth still. So it was good to hear from him, really. And
church is in the morning. You know what these footballers are like. We'd have struggled in the morning, but we got him in the afternoon.
That's true. Yeah. Good. I mean, I watched as I mentioned, I watched the Stockport game. It just seemed like a procession, really. I think Stockport were too good for Halifax in the end, from what I saw, and they've won the league. And Wrexham, I can't believe that result at Dagenham. It's a good job Woking didn't score at Chesterfield, isn't it?
That would have been brilliant if they had. That would have been so funny. I mean, Scott, as a radio personality and football commentator, what did you make of Paul Cook's? If anybody hasn't seen it, Paul Cook stopped Rob Stanton once of Humberside's parish. Was basically told to let's face it, piss off. And Paul Cook ended the interview. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
It didn't seem negative at all in the slightest. From what I gather, Paul Cook's got a history of doing this, not speaking to the media. It never looks good on anyone, manager or player, who doesn't want to speak to the media. And from the outside, it just looks like he's spitting his dummy out, because what were they when he took over? 2nd, 3rd, something like that, and they dropped right down. So it's a bit embarrassing. And after today's game, he refused to speak to BBC Radio Sheffield again after the game. I think it's Chesterfield sound like they're a bit in crisis. I think after a few months ago with Teshi Manga up front banging the goals in, they were flying, and they really threw their money at it, didn't they?
Oh well, if it's any consolation for Paul Cook, I think he's probably only got one more game to worry about giving radio DJs radio interviews before the end of the season. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to say on yesterday, so I'll just go through a couple of them. So a guy called Mfol is a Notts County fan listening in Nottingham. You are more than welcome here, as long as you aren't restricting our ticket allocation to less than 2,000. We might talk about that in a minute. Somebody wanted to know how the drug amnesty bin was going at Eastleigh. That's something I've never seen before. They should probably have one outside Parliament as well, which would be quite a useful thing. But it was certainly gone, James, by the time we came out. So I assume someone's had away with whatever was in there, and hopefully Notts County will be doing the same. I imagine Matt Lawtons of the Times will be there to cover your toddlers taking their heroin. George Bilsby is en route back to Waterloo and signals. God, George, how slow are you? 8 o'clock, you're not at Waterloo yet. What's going on? I hope you went for a couple of pints afterwards.
I was going to say, he's been drinking. He's a town fan. He'll have been drinking, won't he?
Yeah, absolutely. Mike, who is not coming on the podcast today, I don't know why, but is messaging in anyway, is saying that Manny is currently averaging a goal every 43 minutes. So that's cracking. Andrew Neal says, Tom was on the radio, wasn't he? Andrew, you might have to fill me in. How was he? Because I'll be honest, I talked to Scott about this before we came on air. I must have sounded like a right tit in front of a lot of Town fans because I couldn't text Tom, and Matt Dean had asked us if we wanted to go on the radio, and I was in a rush, so I couldn't wait around to do it. So I was having to shout across to Tom, do you want to go on Humberside? And rightly so. Some guys be like, ooh, posh fucking friend. It's like, yeah, totally, absolutely fine. I take that one on the head. He was boring. Tom is anything but ever boring, Andrew. How dare you? Look, I don't know. Has anybody got anything else to say about today's mental game? Well done to Manny. Well done to Ollie Battersby. Is it the last time we see Max Wright in a Town shirt? I hope not. He certainly came over and gave Town a standing ovation, and they responded in kind. And McEwen, were you surprised he didn't play? I was expecting Battersby to play, if I'm being entirely honest.
Yeah, I expected Battersby to play the way things have been going. Because Battersby's been warming up as well in recent games and things like that. And it's just looking to the future, I guess, and giving him some experience, some first-team experience. Yeah, so I think as far as today, I hope it isn't Max Wright's last game in the Town shirt, but I do fear that it probably will be. I really hope it isn't. And yeah, like I said earlier, it's good to see the youngsters come on. Tomlinson as well, he came on. I mean, I don't know how old he is, but what's happened to Louis Boyd, by the way, who scored for Holloway, youngest ever goal scorer? We don't hear about him anymore, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, it was great for him. I don't know.
I think he's just gone. I think he's just gone into year 10.
Yeah, he probably. Do you know what? We say that as a joke. He probably is. Do you know?
He's too busy with his own work.
Did you know the fact of him? Can you remember it? Was that the number one song when he was born was Eric Prydz' "Call on Me."
For God's sake! That was last year.
Yeah, and if you're going to Google that, do it when the kids are in bed, because that video is not for child's viewing.
That came out 2004, didn't it? I know that off by heart.
Did it? Oh.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It was a memorable summer.
Boys sitting his SATs exams. Tom, as Kevin says, Tom wanted to play Wrexham in the final, which is impossible. Nothing's impossible with the power of positivity, Kevin. But yeah, give him a bit of a break. He's walking out the ground, and he was if Helena's listening, he only had 1 point. If Helena is not listening, he didn't have more than 1 point. So cut him a bit of slack, I guess.
He did tell Matt Dean he loved him.
Did he? You're my best friend. And then started a fight in a car park about tickets. And then yeah, so it was a thoroughly enjoyable game. There wasn't much to play for. It was a bit of a dead rubber. 600 of you. I mean, stand up and applause each and every one of you mad sods that decided to come down from Grimsby for that, because that was outstanding.
Was it a lot of the London fraternity?
Do you know what? I don't know the London fraternity that well yet, but I mean I was there, but I don't know.
No, there were quite a lot from home going that went. You know, my Twitter feed and Facebook, anything to go by. A lot of the regulars went. I think a lot of them had got it geared up. You know, a while ago, there were cheap travel lodge rooms, and we'll do it for the weekend, last game of the season. I think a lot of had it in planned for a while, but then I know a lot of the regulars as well that didn't go would have gone if it had mattered.
Yeah,
save
absolutely.
it for the playoffs.
And you've got so Margie's just passed a guy called Margie's just passing Peterborough on the train, so at least half of you are getting there. George C, you spent far too long in the pub if you've not even got to Waterloo yet. Stuart Johnson wanted to know, do we bring back Podge and should we start a petition? I mean, yes, I would love that, but let's be honest, it's not happening.
I just mentioned about 5 minutes ago about Connell scoring a shitload of goals in one season, coming back and it didn't work out. So there you go.
I think what we can't do next season, sadly, we've got, you know, we've talked nicely in the last couple of weeks about Scannell and how he was getting better and now he's got injured. You know, we've all got respect for what Max Wright can bring to the party, but unfortunately, we would all say that signing him also would be a risk. And like you say, an older player. This season, really, we went into the season, didn't we, without Scannell and Grant from the start. They both got injured, so we need a fully fit, you know, or as near a fully fit squad as we can, don't we? So I think we'll be taking very few gambles. in the summer.
Speaking of gamblers, if I had to gamble between, and by all means, you guys can disagree. If we had to choose between Scannell and Max Wright, I'd pick Max Wright because you don't know where his upward trajectory could be if he's ever better.
Would you pick him based on, I mean, what you've seen in this season since they've both come to fitness? Though I would argue Scannell's done better. But yeah, like you say, I'd like to see Max Wright, but it's just so difficult, isn't it? And and we've said before, it's just sad that he's obviously got all the talent in the world. He just can't stay fit, and unfortunately, he's now had several seasons of not being able to get fit, and that's not good for him, is it?
Kevin, he played really well. If that helps, he was involved in all of it. If I'm being entirely honest, I really liked it. Really liked his involvement, and he just, the times he just turn them and be away by a good couple of yards. It's like, if I could give him my knees or whatever else he needs, he'd be more than welcome to them. But I don't think he'd want an overweight bloke's knees, if I'm being entirely honest.
Can I ask how did Reiki play? Because that's like having a new
really rusty, if I'm being entirely honest. He was at fault for one of the goals. I think it was his pass that was too short to Cropper on the overlap, which led to a counter attack. And I think he left some space at some point. But you could see as he was getting into, the more and more the game went on, the more he was sort of able to get involved and do bits and bobs around. But he looked rusty, and I would be a bit wary of playing him in really important games, other than coming off the bench when people were knackered.
Everybody seems like really, really excited by him coming back, and I remember him. Wasn't he playing sort of at the time when we were on that not so great run? Wasn't that when he was in and around the team? And not that that's just him, but I don't remember it. I mean, he looked the part, and I'm sure he'll be a great player. But I don't remember him being absolutely superb. He was good, but everyone seems dead excited by having him back. And like you say, we've got players in midfield that have been playing quite well lately. I don't see him out in anybody for a starting position, in my opinion, anyway.
I think he's a decent option, but I wouldn't start disrupting the midfield we've currently got to accommodate him. I think the narrative works, doesn't it? It's interesting that he's basically a direct replacement for Alex Hunt, and I think a lot of people are actually subconsciously putting on a lot of Alex Hunt's ability and what he dealt with the team onto Reiki as well, because they almost felt like a straight swap, one young talented lad for another on loan. Mine might be wrong, but I think that might be why people are getting very excited about him. But I agree. I don't think he'd found his feet yet. I don't think it was. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he's a. I think Hurst will like to have that option.
Also, what about Jones? Because he's been not great recently.
No,
okay.
Not massive, Bruce. I don't know what you make of Jones. You probably see him more than I do.
I've not really noticed him. Would be the best description.
Did he start today?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm with Bruce. I thought he came on in the second half.
I think Jones. I assume Burgess is only till the end of the season. Is he one of the lads from? Did we get Burgess from Port Vale?
We
Correct.
did.
Yeah, I think a lot of these. I think majority of these players that he signed until the summer, in that sort of spurt, we signed 3 or 4, didn't we? I think the majority of them will be let go. I don't think anybody's made him sort of sit up and give them a 2-year deal.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Burgess losing that ball for the third was one of only 2 times today when I went, oh, for fuck's sake, sort of. That was telegraphed. I would have noticed that was coming. And the other was when Abraham didn't square it to Manny, but you get tunnel vision when you're going in.
Wasn't Danny Amos? Danny Amos was one of them though, wasn't he? Was he? He came halfway through the season. He was one of those sort of signings till the end of the season.
He was, yeah.
And I think he could get a deal.
I would love Amos to stay. I think he's been a cracking left back.
And beware the hat-trick goal scorer on the final day of the season too.
Yeah.
Because,
but
as we all remember, in 2018, JJ Hooper scored at Forest Green Rovers, a hat-trick in a 3-3 draw, I believe it was. And then the next season, I think he scored once and went to Bromley.
It was a 3-0 win, Scott.
A 3-0 win. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry.
You got last straight out of it.
It was a
But-
3-0 one. Yeah, you're right, Bruce. Yeah.
They were
I
all,
do like-
the fans were all sunbathing, weren't they? It was a bake. I
That's
didn't
right.
go, but it was a baking hot day.
Yeah.
I do like Manny though, and shall I tell you, Alex's terrible take 438. He reminds me of Jamil Matt, but with better finishing. I just think he's a great hold-up player. I think his first touch is brilliant, and he loves the ball drilled across the end, drilled across the box. He can always be the first to those. I like him. I like him a lot.
We've got no chance of keeping him then because Jamil Matt's just been promoted to League One, and if he's a better version of Jamil Matt, then surely he's not going to sign for us. He'll be going to the Championship.
Well, Tranmere fans hated him. They were glad to see the back of him. They said he was worse than Stephen Payne, which I think hopefully we can all agree he's not as bad as Stephen Payne. At least he runs, for Christ's sake. What were your thoughts on Boreham Wood, Bruce?
I just had to Google it to see what happened.
Oh dear. I mean, some people started criticizing this pod when I didn't watch all the games anymore on iPhone.
No, I did go to the game, and it was only about 5 days ago. But I have had a pretty heavy weekend in Sheffield. But no, I think it's my age. I find that now. I can tell you what happened when John Cockerell was playing 30 years ago. But you asked me what sort of went on a season or two ago, and I'm or even a game ago. I'm done for. I did remember that McAtee scored, but I don't remember it. I think it was a funny old game, really. They didn't really. They looked like they've been playing for a while. They didn't look particularly
like on the beach
lively. We didn't have to be particularly lively, which was good because we weren't. But yeah, it was job done. It was job done. The young lads got to invade the pitch, didn't they? With some middle-aged, not so young lads as well.
They have to wait until the sponsor board bars go down because they can't get their leg over.
Well, you joke, but when you're stood in the, I think Scott, where do you sit when you go? Do you sit in the upper?
I haul myself about in different stands.
Well, I think we got there quite late. One of the home games, it's sort of sidetracked a little bit, Alex, from where you were going. But with regards to waiting for the barriers to come down, I hope we never have a fire because I don't know if you've ever tried to get into the upper Findus at 5 to 3, but there's just like a bottleneck from the turnstiles and through those double doors, and you just stood there looking at about 40 rows of people. So God help us if we ever have to go the other way quickly. Because it was just yeah. So yeah, I know what it's like at Blundell Park with the barriers and the bottlenecks. But
did you stay for the Player of the Year awards afterwards? Because I've and I believe Ian put it in the group, the WhatsApp group chat about how there's been no article about it because I don't know anything about the Player of the Year awards.
No, and I didn't know it was going to be. I did stay behind and just watch it, but it was all a bit sort of haphazard, really. I saw that Eastleigh were doing the same thing today, weren't they, Alex? Did they do theirs on the pitch as well?
Oh, I was gone by then.
But
mate.
you've gone. You just turned and went.
Yeah.
but no, there was nothing. I mean, Andy was standing in for Kev on the mic, and it was like you say, it was just like a.
Bruce says these names like everybody knows who they are.
Sorry?
Who's Andy?
The former mascot.
Andy Carr.
Andy Carr.
Okay.
Yeah. Andy was on the mic in Kev's absence. Sorry.
That's all right.
So I had to walk round. I was getting a lift home.
Did he have to pay for that experience, or was it free?
Yeah. I think he offered his services for free. I think.
But what's that got to do with the microphone?
Anyway, yeah. So he was on the microphone, and I wandered round, but like you say, I almost found it was a bit. I think McAtee won every award, and I felt a little bit uncomfortable with that. I didn't vote for it. I didn't vote in the Player of the Year. I've never even been to an awards for some reason in all my years of going.
What? You never went to the Winter Gardens?
I've never been to a Player of the Year awards.
I've never.
I don't know why. I don't know why, Scott. I've just never been to a Player of the Year awards.
There were some of my best memories when I was a kid going to the Winter Gardens and me trying to talk to Clive Mendonca, and she's Mrs. Hello, sir. And all that.
Hello, Mrs. Patterson.
Yeah. Oh, Bruce.
Scott, have you seen that photo that I put of Clive at the buffet at the Winter Gardens?
No.
Oh, right. Let me just dig it out while you two talk amongst
that
yourselves.
wallpaper is incredible. Yeah, that is stunning. Yeah, find it, Bruce, because it's amazing. I've never been to an awards evening. I don't know why. I've suggested it as well that we should do every year. They should do almost like they've got to find a better word than Hall of Fame, but they should bring one legend back every year. Maybe like you got the honours board at Lords. Every year you present someone with a fellowship or something like that, and that legend becomes that year's fellow, shall we say, and they get put on an honours board. So you could have like Joe Waters this year because he was around. Stick him up.
That's not a bad shout, really. I mean, they're doing that signature thing, aren't they, in the corner, in the fan zone? I guess that's the closest thing we've got to it, really. That kind of, it's a good idea, actually.
Do I go too far to say that when we have like their shirts hung up like in American stadiums, is that too far?
Well, then retire the number.
I think we should have. Do you know what? Is it ridiculous for me to say that we should have retired the number 2 shirt?
I mean, I always remember Jamie Clark, unfortunately, was number 2 straight after John McDermott. And he
take about a big steaming pile of shit.
I like Jamie Clark. I thought he was all right, but he just had
I didn't know. I'm really sorry, viewers.
20 years of John McDermott, on that back, and it was a heavy weight.
There you go, Scott.
Oh, that's great.
He's probably shoving it. He's probably filling his face because you were there eating half the buffet. Some kids just keeps half inching all the vol au vents.
If I just keep eating, he won't talk to me anymore.
Yeah, that kid, that geeky kid has just asked me if I'm staying again.
Yeah, but did you ever look at Clive Mendonca like this lady? This lady looks at Paul Groves. That's a bit stalkerish, isn't it?
Bruce, have you got that photo of me getting a signature from Paul Groves? I'm looking almost as lovingly into his eyes, I think. But
Paul Groves is saying "help me" there, isn't he?
She's from she's from the Louth supporters. Yeah, Louth supporters apparently.
She really?
Yeah.
How do you know her, Scott? What's her name?
Oh, I don't recognise her at all.
First cousins.
No. She's a little bit older now. A little bit older now, Scott. 25 years ago, that.
Jesus, yeah, isn't it? Paul Groves, that shirt as well. Yeah.
Paul Groves looks exactly the same. I'm sorry, but he is not aged.
It was just at that game we had the Broadley game at the start of the season.
Really good game.
Groves played 90 minutes. Groves played 90 minutes. That was
it probably came.
Younger lads coming off.
And he didn't even break a sweat, and he was gone by 7:30. He was out the door before anyone else had got even there. Right, I'll see you all later. I've got Gloucester are playing Kettering.
Consummate professional.
He really is. Ollie says, congratulations on our bronze award. Oh yeah, we won 3rd place in non-league podcasting. So thank you, everybody. We're the best English non-league podcast, apparently, in the country, as voted for by you. So, I mean, I haven't seen any prize money, but thank you everybody for voting.
We're very grateful to you both.
Yeah, thank you very much. We're not at all bitter that Wrexham tweeted it out on their club account with 200,000 followers. I'm wondering why they won. But anyway, if they get promoted, we're the best non-league podcast, and if they don't get promoted, we're probably going up instead. Because we have them in the final, according to Tom. James wants to know if you've got anything to sell. I didn't do a little transition, I'm afraid, Bruce. So, have you got?
I've still got that picture. I've still got the picture. That's not gone yet. My sell pitch last week was a bit crap because I didn't even get any messages for it. So that's
hang on. Let's try it again. Let's give it another. Give me 2 seconds. Hello and welcome back to Bruce's bargain basement. He is today selling on the Grimsby Towns Shopping Network channel a picture that was not bought from the range of Muhammad Ali standing over someone he had brutally murdered. Bruce, do you want to say anything else about it?
I think it's Joe Frazier, isn't it?
It's Sonny Liston.
Oh, Sonny.
He's just done
I
him.
thought it was Foreman.
And it's a lovely photo. I would describe it as it's in a nice black frame, and it's a black and white, and it would look good in any home bar or office. Excellent. I can't remember how much I said. How much I said it was last week, but if anyone wants to just take it, they can come and get it now because I've had enough.
When you said bar, I thought you were going to give exceptions of where it would look good.
But I have actually got right.
Oh,
in all seriousness, this week, I'm. Do you remember these that you used to get in the Telegraph? These kick-off things that were at the start of the season.
Yes, loved them.
They're absolutely brilliant. They've got really good write-ups on the players. There's bits about Scunny, but you can use them for the toilet or whatever. I've got a few of these that I've been given over the years since I started doing the account. Alex has gone. Look, he's not interested. So if anybody wants these, they can have them. There's lots of seasons. There they are. Yeah, give me a shout. 95, 96.
They were great, Bruce. There was a lot of work went into them, didn't they?
Oh, they're brilliant. Yeah, they are really good. They are really good. But I've had to sort my town bookshelf out because Rob's latest book, Walking Down the Grimsby Road, has wedged it too full, and I noticed that I had some. These were duplicates. So if there's a good home, somebody's more than welcome to come and have them. There you go. So I'm not selling this week. Right. I'm giving.
Well, I will sell then. We will talk about it all in properly later. But look, we're going to look at ways to try and raise some money for the podcast. It's quite expensive to run. And as my gas bill goes up, it gets more and more expensive. So we're going to do a raffle, I think. And you're going to get to win this genuine match-worn shirt. Now, look, it's probably the third kit of, I think it's probably fair to say, categorically the worst ever player to play for Grimsby Town. Scott,
that's Arno Mendy is the worst player I've ever seen play for Grimsby Town.
Well, I'm going to mix in ability and attitude, and then also their humility afterwards. So look, it was terrifying to think that this used to still sit in Blundell Park, and it's probably the main responsibility that we got relegated last season from the Football League. To imagine that this was sat in the upper finders somewhere in a storage box, just giving out negative vibes all the time. So we've done our best to try and get rid of it, and we're gonna auction it off.
Who signed it, Alex?
Oh well, here we go. Tony Rees, Danny Butterfield, Liam Hearn, Livo. The dog's coming in. Who's that? Tony Gallimore, Danny North, Gary Croft, Alan Buckley, Danny Boschel, Alan Poughton, of course, though. And Paul Gross decided to sign it on the back. But it is there. So you will have a chance to win that, and we'll work out how you pay for it. But all money will go towards my gas bill. And
I think if you got that framed, you maybe wouldn't see Paul Groves' signature.
No, but I don't think you'd want to see Linwood's number anyway. But just the idea that Groves' name is on it, like sucking out the bad negative energy from it, I guess. But
well, I'll chuck these bits into the prize bundle then, shall I?
Yes, do that. Yeah, they're in the prize bundle.
Look, we've got a thank Jevons for 4 goals DVD that can go with it.
and why don't you do
a 2008 losing Wembley final programme? How's that?
Yeah, they're all in the. They will always be in the prize fund, and Scott will. I don't know. Scott will offer you an opportunity to do Radio Hudden besides commentary on a Scunthorpe game.
See, I've got John Oster's last shirt that he wore in the 96-97 season, which I
won't give that away, Scott.
I can't. I'm afraid I can't give that away.
Could you imagine? I've got an Alan Poughton match-worn shirt upstairs. That ain't going anywhere. That's it. That's staying here.
It'd be nice if we had one of them Barry Conlon mugs. That I think that'd go well with it.
I've got the Mike Newell one of that.
Yeah, that is going in the prize fund, so you'll be able to win a Mike Newell. But we will
get rid of this. It's going to be the shittest prize ever, isn't it? It's going to be the shittest prize ever. Got
any? Well, we did say we'd do a swap shop, but maybe we should just take an administration fee from it. But if you've got any useless town tat you no longer want, if it's Ashley Sestanovic's signed shotgun from his his armed bank robbery or whatever it was. We will happily take it. There we go. This is for you. You have an opportunity to win this on the greatest raffle Grimsby Town have ever done. So
you would say it's a prize that money can't buy, but if somebody came in and offers us decent money, then we'd just take it anyway, wouldn't we? So,
and I promise you this: we will not hawk anything. If you offer us £1,000 tomorrow, I will burn the keeper's shape flag and I promise I will not take it to Wembley if we get to the final. If we don't raise any money, it's coming to the final, and it's on your heads for being tight. Did we sell it all right? Did we do that all right? Do you think people will give us money?
I think, yeah, we'll see.
The messages have gone very quiet. Andrew Neal says, why don't you just do a sponsored bike ride for, say, 240 miles? Is it all downhill? I mean,
I wouldn't get to the London Stadium if I left now for the playoff final to do let alone do 240 miles. That was an incredible effort, by the way.
It was. We did Bike to the Bank a few years ago, and I was knackered just cycling to Lincoln. So Dave Smith and Dave Moore, I mean, the idea then that Dave Moore just physioed the game as well, and was absolutely fine.
Was that Barclays in town from Keelby? Bike to the Bank.
I'm assuming they stopped like overnight somewhere. It wasn't non-stop, was it?
No, they did it one go.
No, they did stop places, didn't they?
They stopped just only to be fed and go to the toilet.
Really?
21 hours it took them.
What? And then Dave Moore worked today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you got injured, you just went behind the shed and you were just shot. If anyone had got injured today, they would have just brought on one of them little things at the races that they bring round and just shot the player and just carried them off.
Steve Wynn has said this is that picture of the lady who looked lovingly into Paul Groves' eyes was Jane presenting the award. In '92, I presented Futch with the Louth Supporters Player of the Year. Still a proud moment from after 30 years. Do we still have the Louth Supporters Player of the Year?
I've never heard of it. I've never known
Scott,
it. And
you need to bring this back.
I spent my.
He's never been asked to present it. That's the biggest problem.
No,
it's him and Lloyd fighting for.
He would be now, wouldn't he? Louth's most famous.
I did present. I have presented an award actually when I did. I have to say it quietly. Compass FM. And I did present.
No, you have to say it loudly because their signal got
nobody heard you.
I did present an award to Ryan Bennett. Actually, he got our Player of the Year in that would be 2008, I think it was.
He's moved back to the area, Ryan Bennett.
Is he really?
Hang on, what? I don't have a breaking news thing.
Ryan Bennett is back in the area.
So we are proud to exclusively announce Ryan Bennett is re-signing for Town for next season. He's moving back to the. Who would have thought it? There we go. Bruce is on it.
He's at Swansea, yes.
That's a hell of a commute.
It is, isn't it, Scott? It's a long way. That
it's almost like
you wouldn't fancy that commute, would you?
Nah. Although Martin Butler travelled from Worcestershire to Grimsby. So
yeah, he's back. He's now he can't walk anymore. But yeah.
Oh, the idea that Town fans hark back for Ryan Bennett will be absolutely beautiful. Like, how old is Ryan Bennett now? 45?
He's only 32.
He's not 32. Come on.
He's got a couple of seasons left in him yet, hasn't he?
Please don't do this, Bruce.
Is Ryan Bennett 32?
I'm not saying anything. I'm just telling you that I'm only stating facts, and it's a long way to Swansea, and that he's 32, and he lives back round here.
Him and Charles Vernham live in the same house. How old is Ryan Bennett? He's 32. He was born the 6th of March, 1990.
What was it, number one?
Pardon?
What was it, number one?
Oh, hang on.
What was the month? What was the month?
Oh, here we go. Dave Lee Travis.
March 1990.
That would have been a bit dancey, wouldn't it? 1991, or did you say 90?
9th of January was Madonna Vogue.
Great song.
Actually, no, it wasn't. That was the 14th of April. It was the Power
Snap.
By Snap.
Oh, Snap!
Brilliant.
There you go.
Ricky says his wife and family are here, and he's also moved here for work. Mike has said, for fuck's sake, Bruce, there's now going to be a 14-page thread on the fishing. Ryan Bennett has one more season at Swansea on 7k a week. Kevin Broughton's in the know. He knows how much he's worth.
You see, somebody's been doing some work, haven't they?
Ollie says Whittle's still in the area as well.
Whittle and Bennett at the back.
Getting the band back together.
So's Danny Rose.
Danny
No, I
Rose
think
has
Alex
sadly left
drove
the
up last
club.
week to help him move out.
No, I wasn't allowed near him. I hadn't been demagnetized for going into his house. Dan Rose has sadly left the club, if you didn't know. He is going to Darlington, where they don't have 4G. So he's going to be much safer up there. Thank you for all the memories, Danny. And I know some people were very kind, including Matt Dannett, saying that we shouldn't be so mean. We have no idea what goes on in a player's life, and we don't. But as a senior pro, you were both shit on the pitch as you were off it, and you were a fucking weirdo. So enjoy Darlington. Is that okay?
On the flip side of that, I actually I wish him all the best. He seems to have found a fit at Darlington, and they get on. It seems like they get on well, and I hope he's happy up there.
Who says we don't cover all bases on this podcast? Scott doesn't care.
I was just about to say the views are of Alex Green and not representative of everyone.
I've just, yeah, I mean,
just in case I ever have to talk to him one day.
Let's just say it didn't work out, and we'll move on.
It did not work out. No. Is there anybody else we need to talk about? I don't think so. I think we're doing all right. Notts County. We've got Notts County coming up. They've restricted us to 2,000 tickets. Grr. Discuss.
I think it's their right. They've earned the right to have the home tie by finishing higher in the league. So unfortunately, they can do up to a point what they want really with the away allocation, and they don't have to give us that whole stand, do they? And we saw it recently with Wickham at MK Dons in the playoffs when MK Dons gave them 2,000. They've got like a 30,000 stadium, but that was MK Dons, right? I think they did. I can't.
They split them up, didn't they? They split them up as well.
Yeah, and they split them up
into
as
two
well.
areas. Yeah.
Because
do you reckon they'll do that?
Yeah, because they didn't want Wickham to have any kind of atmosphere or any kind of advantage. And I guess as the home team, that is their right. So with Notts County, yeah, I understand why town fans are pissed off about not having more. But Notts County have earned that right by finishing higher in the league. We should have finished higher in the league, and we would have had a home game, and everyone would have got a chance to see it. So it is a shame. It's in a good stadium as well, where we experienced a good away game not long ago, really, in the league.
Here we go then. So Scott has compared the newest MK Dons to what is with the oldest professional football club in the world. So Notts County fans listening, that is your level. Well done. What were you going to say, Scott?
It was more the stadium, really.
Well, I get it.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it if I can get there. It also coincides from a personal and selfish point of view from a quite a large birthday of mine on the Monday, and so it'll round off a nice day for me. I think it's my 20th.
Hooters,
Brilliant.
You won't be allowed in yet. Not a 20.
You getting cheap? Do you getting cheap, Scott?
What,
Hooters?
Hooters?
It's a discount. It's a discount for being 20. Hey, you might get a free meal at Hooters if you take your passport.
Well, when I was at Hooters for the league game, my mates took the piss out of me because I bought celery. So
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah, I'm not off there.
It's the only thing that they can cook properly. You don't have to worry about it being microwaved. Do you know what? I don't know. I understand why town fans will be livid. Notts County are perfectly within their right to restrict tickets to whatever they want. Grimsby town fans are also far within their right to turn up and go, "Can I have one ticket for the home end, please?" And if they want to run that risk, then so be it. We would never encourage any town fan to go into the Notts area because obviously it's a safety issue because football fans are animals. But if you are you are a town fan that is at any of the Nottingham universities, please do feel free to send your details in so town fans can use your address to book tickets. But yeah, that's how it is. Bruce, I don't know. You'll be traveling. You'll get a ticket. Looking forward to it.
I've got Maisie down there. She's down outside Bundle Park in her tent as we speak. Ready for Tuesday morning. Yeah. Yeah, she's not going, but she's getting me a ticket. No, she wants to go. She's done her sats now, so I think I've not decided how. I haven't decided quite how full on we're going to go. Whether it'll be a lunchtime train or it'll be a after work car. I haven't decided yet.
What game is it? What day is it?
Monday,
What game is it? It's a week on Monday.
What's the train situation after the game? Because of course it could go to extra time and penalties.
Well, there's no trains back because you've always got to be through Lincoln by a ridiculously early time, haven't you? But we're sort of thinking that if we do that we sort of split up and still we know enough people that'll be going that you could get 4 or 5 of you in different cars. One space on the way home. That's the possible plan.
Great.
Yeah, that's the idea. But yeah,
they're going to go. All the tickets are going to go, aren't they? Straight away.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll go within a few hours. With that, there's only 2,000, and everybody it's like I've seen people mentioning on social media tonight, and it always raises its head when there's an oversubscribed game, doesn't it? The thing about that we've got 3,000 season ticket holders, and probably half of them don't travel away, maybe even more. And so now it's a case of people getting in touch who haven't got a season ticket with their friends who are season ticket holders. And then they'll get, if a season ticket holder, you'll get, obviously you've got a better chance of getting to the game than somebody who's perhaps done a dozen away games this season, but isn't a season ticket holder. So I've seen it mentioned that I've seen it mentioned that, already, it's in this case it isn't for those of us that do go and have got a season ticket. Yes, it's great, but it's like I say, it's the old who isn't it, rather than how many games you've been to, which is a difficult one. And I don't know what you both think about that. Whether the season tickets is still the best way forward for that. I suppose there have to be some perks, don't there, to paying up front. And if you choose not to use it or give it to a friend for a big game like that, then that's just the way it is. I can't think of a much fairer thing. People have said about this new ticket system, and that you've bought 8 away games or 10 away games in a season, but they're not going to go on general sale. They'll be gone. They'll be gone within that day.
It's nothing new. I don't understand why people get worked up. If you're a season ticket holder, you get it. I mean, I've spoken about subscriptions here. I still think that's a great idea going forward, and I think the club should look into it. But if you should still have the option to buy it up front, I think that should still be the main way people buy season tickets, and you should get priority. And that's one of the reasons. If you want a priority, get a season ticket. I go to 12, 13 away games this season. I've got no priority over jack shit, and I don't care. Like it's just how it is. And if I really want to go, if I'm that mad to go, I will go up to Notts County and go, "Can I have a ticket, please?" And I'll go sit in the home end. And Notts County are going to have to be prepared for that, because if you're going to limit the amount of sale, which has historically had 4,500, 5,000 tickets, you are already by assumption and by your workings going, yeah, well, we're going to take a bit of a risk by allowing that to happen, and town fans will just go in the home end, and that's what's going to happen. And
I mean, at the least, it is on TV.
Yeah,
which I know isn't the same, but it is on TV. Unlike,
and I'm sure the club will give you an option to watch it there as well.
Yeah,
and actually, you just reminded me, Alex, as well. Of course, the thing is as well that you go to those away games a season, but that's not actually putting any money into town, is it?
Depends.
So
it depends. Hang on. Because if you buy it directly from the club, you get club get 5%.
All right, but in relatively speaking, it's not putting a lot of money into the club. So people who buy the season tickets, that money is 100% going to Grimsby Town, isn't it? So that's another reason why, like you say, people turning around and saying, "Oh, well, I do 10, 12 away games a season." Like you say, it's that they are looking after, and it probably is the best way. They are looking after the people who give them their 350 quid up front at the start of the season,
and
to enable us to sign Joel Grant.
Yeah, ultimately, and Anthony Straker. Ultimately, it's up to it's not down to the club's problem. It's Notts County's problem. Josh Donner says, "Look, why are they only giving us 12,000? They gave Coventry City 5,000 in the last playoffs." It's simple, Josh. They're scared of us. We go there. We tend to put on a party. We tend to intimidate them. We put on an intimidating atmosphere, and we tend to come away with a win. And that's the reason why they've done it. And they've got their obligations to do so. But they also run the risk of having 2,000-3,000 town fans in the home end, and the problems that come with that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think
there'll be more than 2,000 that try and get there, without a doubt.
Yeah.
I would imagine. Like Scott says, though, the fact that it is on TV will soften the blow for some. But we all know that it's not the same watching it on TV as it is watching it there.
Absolutely. And looking at some of the hotels, if people want that, I don't know why you would, but it's now apparently something I offer as a service. 69 quid for a hotel in the Drury Inn, which is right across the road from the ground. So it's near the Hooters, Scott. So it's near the train station. 69 quid for the night, not too bad.
And it is my birthday as well. So
yeah, exactly. Nice pot. 8.6 out of 10. So got a half decent rating.
Big Monday night out on my own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Must be a student night, Scott.
Hey.
Oh, to be fair, we are approaching the end of May. They've probably finished for the year.
40-year-old man out on his own on student night. No thanks.
I thought you were 30. Yeah, you were 30. We were going to pass you off as 30, weren't we?
I mean, if you'd like to do that, yes, please.
Ollie Hodson puts a good point together. Ollie Hodson said, if it's on TV, will it make more Town fans keen to go, knowing that if they just get kicked out, they'll just go to a pub to watch it? You're probably right. But we would not condone that sort of action on the podcast. But again, if you are a Nottingham student, please do feel free to share your address so people can order tickets. Because I will imagine they will be looking for people who put their address down as 1 Grimsby Street, Grimsby, because that's not the cleverest thing. We've talked about ticket allocation. How do you feel about it? I mean, there was the discussion from me only, I guess, that we should try and forfeit today's game, finish 7th and get Halifax and Solihull. But the path now is Wrexham, Notts County, then Wrexham, and then whoever else. What are our thoughts? Do you think we're sort of, is this going to be the end of our road? Do you think we've got an opportunity? What do you guys think?
It's a great chance, I think. You've got two teams in pretty decent form. And Notts County have only lost 1 in 7, won the other 6.
Oh, shit.
And they won today at Maidenhead. And I think it would be a great game. And obviously we've got good record there, having won there in the league with that late goal. I think you've got to play the best teams, haven't you? It's a bit annoying that we're playing Wrexham at the racecourse ground if we beat Notts County.
Well, if Wrexham win, I guess.
Sorry?
Oh, no, Wrexham do. Sorry, I did a Tom. Sorry. I forget how this stupid playoff works. Yeah, fine. Yeah, if we get through.
Yeah, because I think about those two teams, they're going to have, that's quite a long break, isn't it, for those two teams? So I don't know if there's a bit of an advantage having a bit more momentum playing the extra game. I don't know. I've no idea. Because I don't know if you followed the National League North, that York City and Boston have finished in the playoff final, and they were the 2 lowest ranked sides in the playoffs. And it's a similar setup with the elimination games and the semi-final. So it's not always the teams that finish 2nd and 3rd that, fly through. So yeah, it's a bit annoying that we could be potentially playing Wrexham at their place, because that'd be really tricky. But yeah, Notts County away, it should be a cracking game, I think.
I think it'll be a cagey affair. I think it'll be a bit nervy. I think it'll be strange after probably, I don't know, since when we sort of under Michael Jolly, maybe when we were trying to survive relegation, that we had nerves like that at a game. I mean, obviously last year it was all done and dusted at that Exeter game, wasn't it? When no fans were there.
It was like we had to win 8-0 or something like that.
But it's been a while since we've had a game where it really was an important big game. I mean, we've had Stockport and Wrexham this season at home, and we've had some good away days, but not. I think it'll be quite cagey and quite nervy, and it's a tough route, but that's the way it's supposed to be. But like Scott says, those two teams, I'm hoping. I know Tom's rooting for Boston with his local roots. Personally, if we don't go up, I'd like to go to York's new ground, and York's a nice place to go and visit. But they're both pretty local to us, aren't they? They're not far away. But yeah, I think it's a really tough route, and like Scott says, I think the first game is a 50-50. And I think if you got past that on current form, Wrexham, your chances are that's going to be a tough hostile atmosphere, 9,000 crowd in the racecourse. But we've seen Hurst go to these sort of places and thrive before in similar situations. He likes sort of pitting his tactical nous against these sort of teams, doesn't he? So yeah, but it's meant to be tough for teams like us, and if we wanted to get like home advantage and have a better advantage, like Scott said, we needed to have not had that run of 14 games without a win or whatever it was in the middle of the season.
I'd like to think this is where I aimed for us to be. I think most of us said, look, playoffs are the aim, and I think from reading what most Town fans think on social media and Twitter and the fishy, whatever, the general thought consensus is, look, this is an evolution, not a revolution. We've come a long way since last year, and if this year is not going to be the year, that's completely understandable. The team is growing and changing, and we need to stay with it. And I hope there isn't a meltdown. I know. It's very hard not to be disappointed when you lose in a playoff final, but playoffs. But it's where you want to be. You want to be at this end of it, facing disappointment and having those nerves. And if you're a player that thrives on pressure, then great, go out and win it. It matters a lot. And if you're a player that doesn't like that pressure, then look, it's not a free hit, but you're not going to be vilified if we don't make it this time. And I think most fans have got that mindset. I hope I'm right. I don't want to see people too critical if we don't.
There'll be half a dozen or a dozen Twitter users that have got a draft saved already, won't they?
Get me sheet out.
If and when we go out. But I agree with you. I wanted to mention on the pod tonight that obviously the last home game on Tuesday, I think Richard Young tweeted that our average crowd was over 5,700 this season, which is our highest since 2002-03, which was our last season in the Championship as it is now. So I think on the back of relegation,
I made that beautiful point. I know it was great. Wasn't it?
Well, if it was you, okay.
I Richard put it out there properly.
Yeah, but that just shows the healthy position that the club's in. And I agree with you. I would love to be proved wrong. I don't quite think we'll have enough to get promoted in the playoffs, but we have got a chance. But I think that the club is in a very healthy position. All the new families and the young fans that have been encouraged down this year that sit near us now, I think we'll see season ticket records broken next year, whatever league we're in. And with the club's in a really healthy position. Once we know what division we're going to be in, we can hopefully get some of the players that we want re-signed and Hurst go out and strengthen in the areas we need. And if you do get rid of a Stockport have gone, if you get rid of a Wrexham, say for example, then I think you've got to be in the top 3 favourites next season to get promoted.
Also, it's level playing field next season, salary cap.
Yeah, it is. So Chesterfield are screwed anyway, but it's going to be interesting. And it's we finished what was it? We finished on 77 points. Stockport finished on 94. That's 17-point difference. That's 6 games, 6 wins. You think how many games we've had this season where Notts County at home, Maidenhead at home, Solihull at home, where we had 2 crazy minutes of those 2 teams. That's 2 wins already. We're not far away. We're a decent striker, maybe a couple of other people in the background. Maybe don't look at 6 months loan signings because that does disrupt the flow of the team. And we go from there, and you never know what comes. But next season is a lot weaker. If we don't go up, I want Wrexham out of here, and I think everybody else is probably in agreement with that.
We've got Scunny as well. Scunny next season.
Yeah, and that's
going to Boston or York. Yeah,
Boston or York. I mean, York. You mentioned about York's ground, Bruce. I've been there several times. It's a really nice. It is really nice ground, and it'd be really interesting to have because they've not really been tested with a big away following there yet. Because the only trouble with the ground is it's one of these out of town grounds where there's no pubs anywhere. And I think the only place where you could go and buy a drink is probably the Tenpin bowling alley around the corner.
That'd be amazing.
That sounds horrible. Absolutely horrible.
It's one of them. It's not like the old Booth and Crescent at all, where you could have a few drinks in the pubs and then walk. So
how far out is it?
Oh, it's miles. It's absolutely. You'd have to.
Oh, you're kidding! Oh, you've just ruined it. All right, I want Boston to go up now, Tom.
I thought
it was going to be somewhere near.
No, it's not. Yeah. You have to get a bus. You have to get a
park
bus
and ride.
Taxi. Yeah, there's a park and ride system, but it's shambolic.
I'm going in a minute, Alex. I've had enough. I've got upset.
And then also the southern one for us down here, you've got Ebbsfleet or you've got Dorking. And I would really like Dorking. The idea of a load of town fans wandering around the most Surrey town in the world. I can't. It's like my two worlds converging, and it would be absolute carnage. I'd love it.
And we've been to Ebbsfleet as well. I've been there.
Yeah, exactly. Dawkins is very much a Bromley, Bruce. It's very much plastic pitch. Their rise has been meteoric. They've been fantastic, but tiny little ground, plastic pitch, leisure centre sort of thing.
Having said that, though, Ebbsfleet is Claire's auntie does live in Gravesend, and we go and use the facilities when town are down that way. And we've already picked up what am I about? Bloody Maidstone for next season, haven't we? Down in Kent. So I think Kent have had their promotions for this season, mate. You can have Dorking.
Yeah, that'll be fine. That'll be lovely. What are they doing with the extra space? Because we've only got 23 teams in the league.
Yeah, I don't know if that's been sorted yet, has it? I'm not sure.
What happens with that?
No, there's only 3 gone down, aren't there?
Oh, is that how it's? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Bruce. Yeah. Thank you very much for clearing it up. But it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it, and it's nice to feel a little bit nervous now, but I'm looking forward to it. I think
we need to decide what we're going to do next week because there's probably not be a lot of point having a pod next Sunday because we're still not going to have played, are we?
Well, we might
have a quick one.
We'll do a preview. We'll get someone from Notts County on to give us the lowdown on what those guys are like. We'll do some sort of We're also going to try and look at doing some after game stuff, so get immediate reaction and everything from you guys. And we'll get on with selling the shirt, the incredible shirt, and maybe looking at some other bits that might work. But it's going to be busy. But I think that's it, gents, isn't it? That's great. Thank you very much. Kevin Broughton says, Bruce, if you want to have a look, it's called the Monks Cross Retail Park for where York City are. So it'll be good. Oh, he's gone already. That was perfectly timed. I've got to give him that. That was beautiful. That's amazing. Great, Scott. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cheers. You're welcome. No worries. Hopefully I can get to Notts County and hopefully, obviously, Town win. But if all else fails, I'll watch it on TV. But that's absolute last resort.
And if you, as we said, if you want to get a ticket and you're that worried, you go up to the Notts County ticket office and you say, "I would like one ticket, please, in the Notts County end," and you're sorted. Done. It's all finished. All sorted. Well, hopefully everyone will get there who wants to. And thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for voting as well. It really means a lot. Do we say like and subscribe? I don't think. Do you subscribe to our podcast? I don't get it. You can subscribe on YouTube, I guess. It doesn't make us any money, but feel free. Stuart Johnson wants to know, is there any news of the sponsorship next year? Stuart, apparently I said that everyone knew it and nobody does, but apparently I know it. I won't say anything. It's going to be nice. I'm sure information will come out soon. But I will... Maybe I'm wrong. It's probably just a rumor. But thank you so much for joining us. We shall see you all soon. Good luck with it all. Bruce is gone and he's already sent a message in the WhatsApp group which says he's properly not coming back. See you later, guys. Thank you so much. We shall see you soon.
Open wide for some soccer.